If you do much research about inspiration, you'll probably come across a quote by an artist named Chuck Close. And the quote you'll hear most often is, "Inspiration is for amateurs." And that's the most common short version of the quote. There's more to it, and I like to share that with you now. The advice I like to give young artists, or really anybody who will listen to me, is not to wait around for inspiration. Inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us just show up and get to work. If you wait around for the clouds to part and a bolt of lightning to strike you in the brain, you're not going to make an awful lot of work. All the best ideas come out of the process. They come out of the work itself. Things occur to you. If you're sitting around trying to dream up a great art idea, you can sit there a long time before anything happens. But if you just get to work, something will occur to you, and something else will occur to you, and something else that you reject will push you in another direction. Inspiration is absolutely unnecessary and somehow deceptive. You feel like you need this great idea before you can get down to work, and I find that's almost never the case. Chuck Close. I wanted to make this video for lots of reasons. One, for myself to think more out loud about inspiration and motivation, and another for students in the photography classes I teach, as well as obviously the rest of YouTube out there potentially. And it's not an exhaustive study, and it's not the only thing, but it's some stream of consciousness thinking about motivation and inspiration. And one of the main things I've realized as I've been thinking about it for the past week or so is that we tend to think of inspiration as a passive thing. And as the quote from Chuck Close reminds us, it's very active. I think we have this idea of art that all of a sudden it just springs to life. And sometimes that's true, but oftentimes it's more likely it is coming from the activity of whatever you're creating it, doing it, being active, involving more of your being than just your brain. So if we wait to create until everything is ideal and the inspiration lightning bolt hits us, we're going to miss a lot of opportunities. So we need to think of creativity, inspiration, motivation as active things we can do anytime, given whatever limits we have. And in 2020, we had lots of limits. I've been teaching photography classes online for the past 9 months, and I hear from students a lot that they feel totally uninspired because they're stuck at home. They can't see their friends. They can't go out and create photos. So they're limited in lots and lots of ways. And here in the winter in the Northwest, we're going to have the weather forecast is for 14 more days of rain. So if we wait for everything to line up, we're going to miss a lot of things. So I want to think of motivation and inspiration a little differently. Inspiration is the idea, and motivation, I think, is the action. So combining those things and which comes first, I don't think it really matters. I think the most important thing that does matter is rewire that we wait for it and instead be active in creating inspiration. So that's what I did. I used this video as an opportunity to be inspired by acting, by going out on a rainy day and creating some photos in the midst of non-ideal stuff. Now, I helped myself out a little bit. I just took photos in the area where I live, in the condo where I live, and I knew there would be some things that could make decent photos because I've done it before. So some raindrops on trees, some old kind of weathered leaves, and there's this cool tree trunk remainder with a cool little feature on it. And I'll show you those photos at the end of the video. But again, if I didn't have this video, the motivation, the decision, I'm going to make some photos, create some photos that go in this video, I wouldn't have had the inspiration to go out and do some photos today. I would have stayed in the office, stayed on the couch, watching TV. So I would have been passive. If I waited for the inspiration, waited for everything to line up, I wouldn't have made these photos that I made today. So I'm glad for that, but it's an action. I had to decide that. So one of the things I would encourage you to think about is to think about some strategies that you can help yourself to be more active. A couple things like just creating some deadlines for yourself, creating a project of creating whatever you want to create. And then putting some parameters around that. How much, when, and what will it look like? Boom. So just do that for yourself. If you want to go an extra step, I'm going to borrow a phrase from a YouTube photographer named Sean Tucker, who encourages us to seek out travel companions, folks who can be along with us in our creative journeys that we can have conversation with, we can get critique from, we can get some accountability just from saying, hey, I'm going to do this, and I want you to check in with me to make sure I did it. So in the midst of all this creating I'm encouraging you to do, there'll be times when you don't feel very successful. And I'm reminded of a quote by John Maxwell: sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. So even in the midst of creating things and you get back and you don't get what you wanted, or you don't feel like it was necessarily successful, there's learning that happens. You know more than you did before. And the best way to create something you do like is to keep creating. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. It's up here. You have to decide to do it. And then you have to decide then to make that a physical activity, a physical action beyond just in your head. Those are some of my thoughts about motivation and inspiration. They're far from complete, and I know I'll be thinking lots more about this, but just the fact of creating this video helped me get these thoughts more concrete. So in summary, where I'm at on thinking on this is that using this video as a framework, I had the motivation of the deadline to create this video. I wanted to create the video on Saturday so it could be released on Monday, and so I had a deadline. I had the inspiration, an idea, let's make photos that go with that video to show the process is a big part of inspiration. Well, the weather wasn't ideal, so I still was motivated to get this video done. So I guess I was inspired to go out and find what I could find in the midst of the less than ideal. It's what I encourage students to do, so I should do it too. And the process of being out there in the rain sometimes leads you, and it led me today, to find something that was unexpected. I knew there were a couple safe photos I could get that I would feel good about, and I'd share to Instagram. But there's a couple in there, and again, I'll show them in a moment, that I'm pretty proud of. I wouldn't have seen them, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to create these images if I didn't go out today and be inspired by the motivation of this video. It all's connected and it goes around. I had the idea here, but it doesn't matter until I picked up the camera and went out and created some photos. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about motivation and inspiration and strategies you've found that help you, and tips and thoughts. So please leave those in the comments below. I'd love, as we say, I think we're all required on YouTube to say, please subscribe to this channel and like if you feel inspired to do so or motivated to do so. That would be greatly appreciated. I will leave you with the images I created in the rain today. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please stay well and have fun creating photos.